All right, we're here in Mammoth Mountain, California for Cam Zink's record-breaking Mammoth flip. It's going to be 100-foot backflip on a mountain bike for a world record over the jump behind me. Now, we've been here for a few days. We've got some great behind-the-scenes imagery with Cam. He's given us great access in the run-up to the jump, all the testing and course building. But when it really comes down to it, we're here to cover 2 to 3 seconds of action and the celebration afterwards. Since I'm here solo for xgames.com, I'm going to set up a couple of camera angles so that we can get a couple of views on the same action. Now, the first we have here is a Nikon D4S remote with a 17 to 35 on the front. That's going to give us our wide angle of the shot behind me. It's also positioned by the takeoff ramp so that when he's inverted at the highest point of his backflip, his face is actually facing the camera. Not to mention there'll be some nice crowds in the background there to really demonstrate the enormity of the jump and the size of all of the celebrations around it. This is going to do one of two things. It's going to give us the hero image of him inverted, again his face facing up the mountain as he's in his backflip. And it's also going to give us a nice sequence. So we're going to make sure that we're firing this remote all the way from the takeoff to the landing, and we have a nice sequence showing the entire progression of the flip. Now, since I'm going to be shooting down from the finish area for a second angle and to catch all the celebration, this camera is a remote camera. And what I have on top is a traditional PocketWizard Multimax radio transceiver with attached Nikon 10-pin release cable for releasing the camera. And then on my arm, necessity being the mother of invention, I've strapped a second PocketWizard and a thumb trigger. This allows me to actually focus and use my other camera, but I still can trigger this camera for the sequence. And I can trigger it independent of this camera, and we'll explain why in a second. Now, with our other angle farther down into the finish area and we're shooting up the slope, one of the concerns we have is that the sun is actually going to be setting behind that knuckle there, and the sun's going to be below that yet still brightening up the sky. What that means is that our jump is going to be somewhat in the shade, and we may or may not have a semi-bright sky. To help combat that, I've set up 2 Nikon speedlights with attached PocketWizard TT5 transceivers, offering both wireless TTL and flash high-speed sync. What this does is allows me full TTL control from my finish area corral camera using a TT1 transmitter. And why the TTL function is important here is that because up until the last moment, I don't really know what the light's going to be like. And this PocketWizard TT1 and TT5 system allows my camera to communicate in 2 directions with the flash and actually adjust the flash on the fly as I change my exposure to compensate for the sky or the ambient lighting condition. Normally, these small flashes wouldn't have enough power to really give much punch on a bright day like now, but considering this jump is happening at about 7 o'clock, it's going to be a lot lower light, and we're probably going to be up around ISO 1600 and maybe 3200 with perhaps an exposure of 800th of a second to 1,000th of a second at f4, f4.5. Again, that variance in there is really going to make it important that we have the TTL functionality over the radio transmission so that I can be 100 feet away and I can still transmit to these flashes. Now, these flashes are going to be set to TTL, but they're also going to be manually zoomed to about 200 millimeters, which is the farthest that you can zoom on these, and that's really going to focus all the energy of the output up towards the peak of the jump. And the reason that I have a separate trigger for my remote camera is that these cannot keep up to fire perhaps 20 times like the sequence camera will do. Therefore, with the handheld, I'm waiting to the peak moment, maybe 2 or 3 frames as he goes fully inverted, to begin firing this camera. That'll make these fire the first 2 times, 3 times, and then they're not going to be able to recycle quickly enough in order to provide any more light. Yet I'm going to still be down in the finish area capturing the landing and any of the celebration and the crowds and the family that's going to be there with him. All right, here we are in the finish area, and I'm going to have 2 cameras on me. My primary camera is going to be another D4S, again with the TT1 transmitter that's going to fire the lights, and a 70 to 200 lens, which gives me a nice range for looking back up the jump or across the finish area when he goes to celebrate with the crowds or any other celebration that goes on. We're about 100 feet from where I just showed you my lights, but again, that's no problem for a transmitter like this to again give that 2-way transmission with the flash information. I also will have around my neck a third camera. This is a D800 and a 24 to 120 lens attached. What that does is gives me a second option if he comes my direction, if family and friends comes out and I'm right in the scrum of things, I have a nice wide range zoom that gets me all the way down to 24 in case I want to get up really close with the action. But hopefully what we've showed you here is that one person using modern technologies here can get a couple of different angles and a couple of different looks out of a singular jump. With my roaming access here, I'm going to kind of wait until the last moment, see where people are positioned, see where the TV cameras and the fans are positioned, and find my best angle on the jump. But I have great confidence in the remote triggering capabilities of firing my remote camera independently so I can get the entire sequence with my thumb, and then also selectively choosing the best shots during the jump with my long lens that looks up the slope and also puts me in a great position to catch all of the finish action and celebrations that'll go on down here. Since we're here close to the base area and we've actually got excellent wireless strength, I'm also using my Nikon WT5 transmitter in order to send images directly from my cameras up to my website and that all the editors can use on the fly, and hopefully we'll be transmitting in near real time all of our images back to the website and they can post it again in near real time. I'm going to have a separate tutorial coming on the wireless transmission system soon, but for now, just looking forward to the ability to be able to transmit for a record-breaking event. We hope you've enjoyed this behind-the-scenes look at what goes into covering a record-breaking event. While we're here for a handful of days, when it really comes down to it, the event itself is only 2 to 3 seconds of action and a bit of celebration afterwards. And as a single person, trying to cover and get as many angles as possible really takes some forethought and planning. We hope you've enjoyed the look behind the scenes, and let us know in the comments if you have any questions.